Alrighty, guys. It says that we are live here. Well, hello, Facebook. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
everyone.
Hi.
Alrighty. So just give me a few moments here. I'm gonna go online to check our sound to make sure it's okay, and all of us can hear. Everybody can hear us really good.
Where are we live? On your page.
Hello, Facebook. Okay, hang on one second. Alrighty. I'm just checking the sound here. And I'm just sharing. If you are on the line right now and you can hear us right now, click like and subscribe. Go ahead and share this to your groups or share this on your page. We're just checking the sound here and make sure you guys can hear us okay.
Yep.
All righty. Here we go. I've already shared into everybody's group. Except for let me share one other group here. One other group. Alrighty, so I guess we can start by introducing ourselves. As you guys know, I'm Spencer Tyler. You know that I'm on Facebook every now and again rambling about my problems and stuff like. No, I'm playing. You guys, thank you for listening to us. Thanks for joining us for a chat about Jehovah's Witness activism and activism, the activists that are really going along the front lines with us today. We have Sharon Tyson, Tovar, which a new name, honey. And we have Ema and Molly.
Yay, hi y'all.
I guess I can start. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. Well, let me start by saying for those who are interested. Hey, Christina. Christina says you go, girls. Spencer Tyler is an alias for me, for those who are wondering. My name is Shannon. I chose a alias because as I was expressing doubts and having doubts about the Jehovah's Witness religion, Sharon, you might want to hit mute on your phone just for a second.
Okay.
Only because I can hear the car background. Okay, yeah. Can everybody hear better? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I started out as a born-in Jehovah's Witness in the Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. I grew up in I would say mostly African American congregation. When I became a regular pioneer, I was sent out to areas that were more mixed. I even had a chance to serve where the need is greater, as if that was such a privilege back then. But I thought it was, y'all. I thought I was the bomb. That was to me. I was. Y'all couldn't tell me nothing. Anyway, I ended up serving where the need is greater in Florida. I did that for 2 years in a Spanish-speaking congregation. Don't ask me about Spanish. I can't speak speak very little Spanish now. I guess it's true that if you don't use it, you do truly lose it. So let me speed up a little bit. Doubts. I started having doubts about 1914 at a very young age. I actually remember getting a spanking on a family study because I didn't believe in 1914. Well, not that I didn't believe it. I just had doubts about it. That actually carried over to me into my adulthood, where let's just fast forward even further, where I was actually disfellowship for apostasy among it's actually a 2-pronged disfellowship, and I was for something else along, but apostasy was the big charge. And it was a witch hunt. So in any event, what I'm doing now, I run a Jehovah's Witness group, purely a group where we talk about reform of the Watchtower, but it's also a group where a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses come in. We actually just hit 4,000 last weekend on that particular group. I also, let's see, we got Sylvia on the line. She says, girl, I can relate. Was in the Portuguese congregation for 3 years and don't speak a lick of Portuguese now. Okay, and what's so bad is I had a couple years of Spanish in high school on top of being in the congregation with Spanish speaking people and learning. So I remember being in the field ministry and communicating and talking to all these different people and call myself trying to save the world, the Spanish world, I guess. But now I'm not a superhero anymore or in that capacity anymore. I'm working to with my family. My son and daughter are now, I would say, fully deprogrammed. It was really hard for them to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. My husband, I was able to get him to leave, which we actually separated over the religion for a couple of years before he actually left. So I'm very happy that he's out of the religion. And now I'm just trying to look at my path forward. And I am interested in activism. I know Sharon has reached out to me a couple times with the Saginaw protest that she had a couple years ago when I first got online, and I was just so nervous, and I had all these nerves, and I had all of this anxiety about it. But she's been encouraging me and others to get involved and bring it down the watchtower. So I'm all game. So who wants to go next? Who wants to go? We got Sharon and Emma and Molly.
I pick Emma.
Hey,
Okay.
go ahead, Emma.
Emma, you're next. Where do I start? Okay, so how I ended up here. My granddad was a crazy, strict Jehovah's Witness, the type where no other magazines on the watchtower allowed in his house, no TV, no radio. He wore a suit 24/7. On top of that suit, he wore 3 Macs and wellies. Don't know why. He was just strange like that. So he brought my mum up in the religion. She left at 16, got pregnant with me, married my dad, had my sister and my brother. And then she went back to the religion when she was 24 and took us with her.
Okay.
My real dad left because he didn't want anything to do with the religion, and within about a year, I think, she married someone. He was a JW, who then became an elder. So I grew up as an elder's daughter, got baptised at 13, because I was told that if you don't get baptised and Armageddon comes tomorrow, you're not baptised, you're going to die. So 13 years old, got baptised, got to about 18, thought, I don't want this life. It's not a life. Got to about 19, definitely wanted out, started being a rebel. Was always in the back room. If my stepdad disappeared at the end of the meeting, I'd be like, what have I done now? Because he'd be in the elders' room with the other elders. And he'd just say, I'll tell you when you get home. Because I knew it'd be about me. So it got to 21, and I just thought, I've had enough. And I clearly remember the day I went downstairs and I leant against the radiator, stood in the living room and just said, I don't want to go to the meetings anymore. I don't want this. My mum and stepdad said I had 8 weeks to move out. And it was my boss's birthday party in 4 weeks, and they said, if you go to that party, you're not welcome back home. So I went. Because I thought, if you're going to kick me out anyway, I literally had nowhere to go. I got my nan worked for a loan company, but it was like really high interest. I got a couple of £100 off her, moved in with an unbaptised publisher, ended up in a relationship with him that was domestic. And fast forward to, I found Facebook 12 years ago, made the ExJW group.
Yay.
And I literally thought that group would only have about 100 members. I never thought it would get to like over 5,500.
Wow, Emma.
It's just like, it's crazy to me it's got to that many people. And the amount of people that have told me that the group has literally saved their life, like literally, it's just like, I would never give that group up, because what's a better thing than that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I just want to say that I do identify with you, because I did go, well, me personally, I kind of fast forwarded a lot, but I did go through a bout of homelessness when I first, I was kicked out of the house when I was kicked out of the religion. And I actually slept in my car in public park here, and my husband would actually come. Well, he wasn't my husband at the time, but he would come out there to check on me and make sure stay with me through the night to make sure I was safe. So yeah, a lot of ex Jehovah Witnesses. If you're a person that's not familiar with the Jehovah's Witnesses and you're listening to the line today, a lot of ex Jehovah Witnesses go through, uh, bouts of being kicked out of their homes once they have been in a position where they have now, they're in a position where they now can say, I don't want this, or this is not for me, or I don't agree with some of what's being taught. Um, you will find that the parents 9 times out of 10 will kick the child out of the house. That's just, I mean, everybody I knew that challenged the organization or challenged their parents on the religion, it was just automatically you have to go. As far as the parents were concerned. So,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was told I had to leave because they didn't want me to influence my brother and my sister.
yeah, same here. Yeah,
So I wasn't even just fellowship. So all I said was I don't want the religion anymore, and they said, well, you've got to move out. And the thing is as well that I was only allowed to work part time because I was told I had to use the rest of my spare time to door knock. And
right.
they know that if you leave, you can't stand on your own 2 feet because you've only got a part-time job.
Yeah,
So that adds to the evil way of keeping you in the religion.
same here. And the thing is that I think, just to elaborate just a little bit more before we move on, I think for me, it helped me grow up a lot faster than I probably normally would have. But then I didn't realize how naive, even now, I still am at 40 because I grew up in a bubble. Because I had a similar life. TV wasn't barely allowed. My parents were like super, super J Dubs, like you said, in the suit all day long. So yeah, I can definitely. I mean, probably most of us on the line can identify that, especially if you grew up a Jehovah's Witness. Okay, so who's next? We got Molly and Sharon.
I picked the rabbits.
The rabbits, the bunnies.
Okay, so basically, I would say I grew up as a JW, but it's a bit more complicated because I had my blood family, and at around the age like 3 or 4, my parents started to build our family house where I grew up. And basically, while the construction was going on, I was a bored kid. So what did I do? I wandered the streets, and like a few houses down, I met these two other kids. And as it turns out, they were Jehovah's Witnesses. And because the house was quite expensive and they were about to kick us out from our apartment at the time, my father actually went and robbed the company like a corporation in town, and he got caught. So he got locked up. And so my mother stayed alone with the two kids, and we moved into the half apartment, like the half done family house without heating or water. And that's where we lived for a while. The only thing we really had is like my uncle. He allowed us to shower there, but he just simply didn't have the space to move 3 people in the rent he had. Like he had a 1 bedroom apartment for his 2 kids and wife. So it was very crowded. And so we had 1 bed in the entire house, and that's all. And basically, when I met these girls who said, "Oh yeah, we are Jehovah's Witnesses, and he provides us with safety and comfort and love and all that," it was appealing to me, especially because if you ever see a picture of my dad and me, you can see how similar we are. So I think my mother was always abusive towards my father. And when he was gone, she took it out on the next best thing, that was me. She was always such a like narcissistic parent. Like, narcissists are great with babies
Right.
because the baby is dependent on you and only you.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
You know,
then when you start start growing your own personality at around 4 to 5 years old, they give you the hot and cold treatment. Like she was like, I love you so much, and I this and that, and then when I expressed any disagreement or something that she didn't necessarily make up on her own, she would go, "Oh, okay then. Guess we will see what Jehovah provides you with, and just say I won't give you food if you don't admit that it's me who puts it on the table and Jehovah has nothing to do with it, and all that."
Wow.
And the older I got, the worse this kind of stuff got. So, and the thing is that when I was in, I knew and I told these people that yes, I am being abused at home. So I don't know what to do. And they were like, tell your mom you love her and you appreciate her, and she will see that what Jehovah teaches you is the best way, because she will see what an obedient child she has, and she will be
Wow.
grateful in her heart. So I did that for years. Like literally, I never stepped a toe out of line. I was the perfect little kid, always getting straight A's, except for maths because I have dyscalculia. So I basically cannot process numbers.
Okay.
And
Well, thanks for sharing that.
except for math, I got like straight A's and all that. I never had like boys over. I never did anything that, normal misbehaving kids would do, like being loud and staying out too late.
Right.
And whatever I did, it wasn't good enough. And eventually, I started sneaking off to service and, door knocking and getting ready to be baptized at around like age 15, 16. And once my mom tracked us and found us at the like National Assembly, and she didn't come up to me, she didn't say anything, she just took a photo of me all dressed up at the convention, went home and waited for me to get home. And when I got home, I from the way she spoke to me, like she was like, how was your day? And the way she asked it, I knew she knew that I went out and did Jehovah Witness stuff. And so I tried denying it for a solid 2 minutes before she whipped out the picture and said, don't even try to lie. I see that you were there. I know you were there because I followed you there. And so she said, you're not going anywhere without me. You're not leaving this house. You're not talking to anyone on the phone. I will check your messages. And basically, that's what she did. And then she also said, if I catch you talking to any Jehovah's Witnesses ever again, you have two options, and I will ask you to choose. Either I set our house on fire and claim the insurance money, pack you
What?
up, and move you to the other end of the country, or I will burn their house to the ground while they are asleep in it. So I was like 15 at the time, so I obviously got scared shitless.
Right.
And
Who wouldn't?
and I decided to write a handwritten letter and chuck it in my friend's garden, telling them, listen, I'm locked in the house. My mother is threatening me. I have no choice but to lay low for now. And we have exchanged like multiple of these letters with my friends. And eventually a worldly friend from school who we had in common told me that actually like they are calling you a coward and an apostate behind your back because you're not going to service anymore, and they are also complaining about how you are like your mother, because when it gets like when the going gets rough, you just disappear and say I can't keep going to service anymore. And that was such a punch in my face that at that moment I was like, the infant who's chucked into ice cold water. I had just simply no other choice but to realize that this is not the one true religion. And then for about a year, I was still in that limbo of like kind of believing, like I was physically out, but mentally still kind of in.
Right.
And I was like, well, I will read the Bible again and maybe, just maybe, I can justify all this. And that's what I did for about a year. I was like an empty mess of nothing, just going around trying to find the reason why Jehovah still exists and all that. But then I was like, no, you know what? Actually, if any God exists, then this wouldn't happen to kids. Like no kid should ever be put in a compromising position, like in any way. They should be provided for and taken care of. Like kids don't ask to be born,
Right.
and whatever happens, like if they don't agree with your religion, if they end up homosexual, transgendered, whatever, it's your duty as a parent to be there for them
Right.
and try to teach them, keep them on the right side of society, make them law abiding citizens, but that's the best you can do. Other than that, it's their choice and it's their integrity that they need to form. And what's crazy is that they never, like, I was abused at home. Luckily, my mother never really got physically abusive. She was smarter than that, so to say. But it's crazy that none of them ever said, like, go to the police or get out of home. They were like, get baptized at 18 and move out. And I'm like, move out where? Like, what would you do at
Right.
18 without a job and with basically a high school degree? And now what I'm doing is actually searching for ways to contact the media and local law enforcement to start something similar to the New York's Child Victims Act in Hungary, so that I can find victims and help them in some way by either making something like the witnesses in Hungary, like an investigative report, or just straight up going to lawmakers and campaigning to push for stricter and more formed abuse legislation, because in Hungary the lawmaking against abuse is lackluster at best. Like for physical abuse, I think the line where you get like when you get to the point where you're punishable by jail is when the victim has such injuries that they need more than 8 days in hospital care.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a far cry from here in the United States. Like we actually well there are some well we just had a documentary. I don't know if you saw it, Emma, of that boy who had was being abused in the house. I can't remember the name of the documentary on Netflix, and how that was an extreme case of our system failing children. But for the most part, I mean, we don't have any laws that will regulate, you know, how much abuse you have to endure in order for it to be almost.
Yeah, and mind you, it says 8, like such injured such injuries that take more than 8 days of hospital care.
Wow.
Like 8 days of hospital care, 8 days of hospital care is tremendous. Like that's crazy. And so I'm trying to see if I can get anything done with that, but because of these laws that are either not explicit or they are like straight up lackluster, many victims never come forward. And actually, I feel like in Hungary, there's no community for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm actually trying to reach out, and I will plan to create and print pamphlets and distribute them and actually do more cart crashes, like
Okay.
standing there next to the carts and just saying, oh, you're interested? Here's some information that's actually not illegal,
Right.
that I can do. And then I would be like, well, here are the sources, here's the stuff. Will you believe like actual lawyers and lawmakers, or shoe waxers who just scrap together enough money to buy a nice looking suit? Because I know
That's
I would
also
rather
wild,
believe
Molly.
lawyers.
I just want to say at this juncture that physical abuse, physical, even though we are on the front lines fighting against sexual abuse that has
Mm-hmm.
plagued the Jehovah's Witness organization for many
Yeah.
years, but probably getting more attention now. You know, I wrote a blog post for those of you guys who follow me and you guys are familiar
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, I talk about my own physical abuse that I endured from my parents. It's almost like Molly, me and you had the same mother. You know, the only
Yeah.
difference is that my mother was a Jehovah's Witness and she would beat me in submission or
Mm-hmm.
go over the top and trying to get me to agree with her on the way she thought and the way she
Yeah.
wanted me to live my life. And as a Jehovah's Witness, like she would be like, "Oh, you can go out and
Yeah.
service with this person, but you can't go out and service with this
And
person. You can
and
have this."
the worst part of it all is that the Jehovah's Witness family, that I would say they raised me more than my mother, because
Okay.
she was like, well, if she was at home, she was either telling us to hide smuggled in goods that she would sell. Like she actually ran my town's entire like black market of alcohol and such
Okay.
shit. Like she was so well known that neighboring countries would not let her pass the border.
Wow.
So she was a such a big criminal that the fucking border patrol wouldn't let her pass the country. So what happened is, as I became older, and well, I would like to say I got smarter too, but who knows.
Right.
And I realized that even that JW family was super abusive. Like there were times we were like peas in the pod, so we could just go like knock knock, hey, what's up? We going out playing volleyball or something like that, and we would be like, okay, fine, just don't go far and be home before the street lights go on.
Okay.
So that was it. Like and the crazy thing is that sometimes when I would go over, before I knocked on the door, I would hear screaming and stuff breaking inside. And I
Wow.
didn't put two and two together, but eventually, because I spent more and more time there, people can't hide their true colors forever. So I saw shit like the father was an elder, obviously. Father was an elder and very strict. So, like, we, even at home, even while sleeping, couldn't show shoulders, couldn't show knees, even while sleeping. It didn't matter. Like, anyone could come at any time and Armageddon could happen, and how would you be able to, like, run if you're exposed or some shit like that? So, even when sleeping, we couldn't show shoulders or knees. And he actually like beat and raped his wife multiple times, so
Wow.
much so that once she had a miscarriage.
Oh wow.
And he was actually like cheating on her with prostitutes too, because once she found like a sticky note in his coat. Like she was about to wash it, so she was checking the pockets so that she doesn't wash any like paper or money or stuff with the
Right.
coat. And she found this little sticky note saying "red cunt" or something like that, and a
Wow.
phone number. So obviously that was a prostitute. And she actually told the other elders about the abuse that she suffered, and her kids suffered. Like they were beaten with rods. Like he sent them out to the garden to chop some wood up and get it inside for him to beat them with. And once actually we were getting ready for like a Kingdom Hall meeting, and my friend was ironing her hair, and her mother came up and asked for a t-shirt. They sorted that out, and my friend just simply asked, "When will you fix the bed?" Because Dad broke it. Because they couldn't reach something, so they asked the dad, and the bed somehow broke or some shit like that. I don't remember. It was like almost 10 years ago. But the thing, bottom line is the bed broke, and the dad needed to reach something, so he stood on the bed. It broke, and 2 minutes later, the dad barged in the room and stabbed my friend across the room so hard that the iron burned across her face.
Wow.
And he told her, "Well, you're gonna say you slipped while ironing your hair, obviously." And that she did. And basically, once the elders were alerted about him, what they did was relocate him to another congregation. Done deal.
Well, I think I remember I was about 12 or 13, and I got so fed up with the beatings, the severe beatings that I would get, and both of my parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, that I went to the meeting with a short sleeve shirt on. I just wanted to show people the bruises, and I do remember the conversations being had in the car groups and stuff later after, like, "Oh my God, did you see Sister So and so's daughter talking about me, the bruises?" And they did question my parents, but it didn't go any further than that. In their minds, they were disciplining, if in the areas of disciplining your children, like the elders was kind of hands off about that. So I totally identify. Thank you so much, Molly, for sharing your story and for sharing the fact that you are getting some people together in I can never say it. Is it Hungary or Hungary?
In Hungary.
Because I'm
Yeah.
hungry. I'm hungry. That's not the same hungry. Okay. And Sharon, we have Sharon up next. Hey, Sharon.
Hey,
Okay, here
hey,
is
everyone.
we got PJ. PJ
So,
said she just got home from doing yard work with her pop. Hey, PJ. I just want to say, run through the comments real quick. Hey, Jason. We got David on the line. Shane, Vicky, Sylvia, Brian, and we have Christina and some people that's hiding out in the background, y'all, in the bushes. I don't see their names, but they out there. They lurking. So we got Sharon up next. Sharon, tell us all about yourself. Reintroduce yourself to the people that know you. We all know you, and introduce yourself to the people that's on the line that may not know you at all.
okay, I'd like to start with this.
Right.
Okay.
Hey.
So, one person that I did notice commented was Shayne Mechen or
Okay.
Meckham, or yeah, I
Yeah.
forget how you pronounce that last name. Mechen, there it is. He said, "Well done, ladies. Keep up the good work." And I just want to say that Shayne is a freaking amazing activist from New Zealand.
He
And
is.
if I remember correctly, I think he was an elder. And when he found out about the child sex abuse cover ups, I'm not sure if that's what took him out or not. But, anyways, he he has taken it all the way to the government, just like you are working on, Molly. And so, I mean, he might be a good person to talk to. Um,
Okay. Hey, Shane.
Hey.
but anyways, Shayne actually ended up having kidney failure,
Okay.
and he had to take a break last year from
Oh
activism
wow.
for quite a while, many months, and he's just getting back into the swing of things and trying to, find the balance there. But he did get a kidney transplant. So
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
know.
so I'm glad that he's still, he's with us and he's,
Yeah.
working on feeling better.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm gonna try not to. I sometimes I ramble. You know how it is when you talk about the
Yeah.
things you've been through. So I'll just try to sum it up. Basically, my parents were kind of like faders. They were fence riders. They didn't go to the meetings very often, and I lived in a small town of about 300 people. So the only Jehovah's Witnesses in town that I was allowed to associate with were my relatives.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom stretched the rules a little bit and let me have one worldly friend who was a little Catholic girl. And to this day, we're still friends. But anyways, I mean, that in itself was really a strange way to grow up as a child, very isolated. It really limited your life experiences and learning about other people and learning how to socialize with different people. Because we didn't go to the meeting, so I didn't have witness friends, and I wasn't allowed to play with worldly kids other than the one. So, I still, battle that social inequality, a little bit. I think a lot of us do. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, eventually we moved to a bigger town, and my brother started taking me to the meetings when I was like 12. And by the age of 16, I had made up my mind that I wanted to be a missionary for Jehovah's Witnesses. And so an elder and his wife were studying with me, teaching me the Bible in Spanish so I could speak or preach at migrant camps.
Okay.
And one day I was home alone. I homeschooled. All of my Jehovah's Witness friends at the Kingdom Hall had been disfellowshipped or disassociated.
Mm.
So there was only like 3 of us left in the Kingdom Hall, young people. And so once again, I was very isolated, very alone. And so I was home alone, and the phone rang, and a 30-year-old man came. I heard his voice on the phone, and I didn't know who he was. Well, here the elder's wife had given her adult 30-year-old son my phone number.
Wow. Okay.
I was 16 years old. I had never dated before. I homeschooled. I was very naive.
Oh my.
And so he asked for my Bible notes, and he made plans to meet me to get those Bible notes from the assembly. And then he invited me to walk at the park so we could talk more about the Bible. And then that's when I went through statutory rape that night.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Who
And
who even
so
thinks that's a good idea to set up a fully
You
grown adult man with a teenage girl? Jesus
you
Christ.
you'd be surprised. I know there was this creeper in my congregation. He was every bit of as old as Sharon is saying, and I was like 12. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, the funny
yeah.
thing is that, like, as you can see, I'm still flat as a plank. And, like, you can imagine, I'm like so tiny. Even now, I look like a 12-year-old. And, like, imagine when I was like a young teenager, I looked even more like a kid. And they were telling me, like, sister, you can't, like, show your shoulders, or you can't wear, like, those barely even visible, like, chapsticks, because you're gonna, like, tempt your brothers in service. And I'm
Mm,
like, dude, I'm 13 and I barely look 6.
right. It happens. And
Like,
for
oh
those,
my
we have
god.
Cornelia on the line who says that she feels for people who's damaged by this cult.
Mm.
Cornelia is not a Jehovah's Witness and has no Jehovah's Witness background other than the fact that she reaches out to him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so I mean, for somebody like Cornelia who's on the line, it is actually very common that I don't know what you call those relationships where um the older men seek out younger women within the Jehovah's Witness organization. And so what Sharon is
And it's
describing, it
it's
happens
very
more often.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very acceptable in that organization. And I have a relative in, I won't say her name or what state she's in, but at the age of 15, she lived her family was in utter poverty, but they were pioneers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually started cleaning house for a 60-year-old. At the age of 15, she was cleaning house for a 60-year-old Jehovah's Witness man. And he started putting the moves on her while she was cleaning the house. By the age of 18, he had convinced her to marry him. And so she married him, and it was a Jehovah's Witness wedding. By then, I think he was 64 and she was 18, I think, at the time. And everyone just thought, everyone was just happy for her, I guess. I mean, I live states away, so I didn't go to the wedding. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I was still a Jehovah's Witness, indoctrinated. I ended up marrying that 30-year-old. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my.
So, to me, it was just normal because, I met, he ended up being my husband, so anyways, so my cousin married this older man, and then he ended up taking advantage of her younger sister as well. Now I find out that he has taken advantage of other children in the
Oh,
congregation.
wow.
Oh.
But he died 2 months ago from cancer.
So he'll never be
Anyway,
brought to justice, probably. I
so
don't know.
it's
Crazy.
very common, and yeah, he was not reported to the police, and it was all covered up, and so that's what we're all trying to fight against.
Yep.
But anyways, so yeah, I ended up marrying my abuser. I thought I was in love. I thought that's what love was, and I was married to him for 16 years. I had 4 children with him. And within the first year, our marriage was so bad, I didn't think I could put up with it. But I did. I stuck it out another 15 years. And the reason is because, religion in general teaches you that marriage is forever, you know. And so eventually the abuse got to the point where I decided it was time for me to leave. I didn't know how to leave. And I ended up I wish I would have thought, you can get a separation.
Right.
You can. They discourage it, but
They
I'll tell
did.
you, if any Jehovah's Witness women are watching this video and you find yourself in an abusive marriage, take your children, make plans, even if you got to go through like your local domestic violence shelter. That's what I did. Make plans to leave.
Right.
You can get separated, and take care of your children, and you can live a happier life. So I left. I left because there was a very nice man at work, and he was kind to me, and I ended up kissing him. And I felt so guilty. I confessed that night to my husband. He took me before the elders, and they gave me another chance. And so, but they reproved me and took away my privileges. So after that, my husband started stalking me at work, calling me every 10 minutes at work. He became suicidal. Eventually he became homicidal. He threatened to kill me and the kids if I left. And so I really didn't know what to do. I was working 55 hours a week. And so I thought, I reasoned within myself, when you're raised in a cult and you have always been in an abusive situation, and you have all the cult rules, you really don't know a way out.
Right.
So my way out was, okay, if I go back to that same person and I do just a little bit more, then maybe I'll be free of this abuse. I'll be free of him. I can go. So that's what I did. And then I confessed, and I was interrogated for 4 hours in front of my husband and 3 elders in a small room.
Hmm.
And they asked me very detailed questions. Did you kiss him? Did he kiss you? Did he put his tongue in your mouth? Did you put your tongue in his mouth?
I've been
Did you
there.
like that? Blah, 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 blah.
I've been there.
It was worse than that. Trust me. So I finally, they said they had me read this article that about the Israelite men and how they had taken younger pagan wives for themselves,
Hmm.
and that Jehovah was happy with them because they dropped those younger wives and they went back to their wives. And I said, is that what you think this is about? You know, like that I cheated on my husband because he was older than me? I said, I feel like I've been emotionally abused. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know that was a term.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I thought I made that up. So that shows how uneducated I was, right?
Oh, we are
So,
aware.
It's
yeah.
so crazy, especially about mental health. You learn just so many things about yourself and others. Like I dare say, worldly people saved my life. After I left the organization, I actually attempted suicide. I don't recall 2 or 3 times, and I attempted murder suicide of my abusers and myself via chlorine gas. I was standing there in the kitchen ready to mix the chemicals up because we were just learning in chemistry about how to create chlorine gas,
Okay.
and and I was just so numb and yet so in so much pain that I just simply couldn't bear it anymore. And I was ready to create chlorine gas in the middle of the house to take me and my abusers out.
And that's so common because even within and those who are listening who are not familiar with the Jehovah's Witnesses, we're gonna have PJ Amber Stewart on next week. Her and I were in a newspaper, my local newspaper actually here in Detroit. There was a Jehovah's Witness who committed murder suicide for that reason. And she was actually it was in Kego Harbor. I don't know if the Kego Harbor suicide. I don't know if you guys remember that. You know, some of us feel so desperate within the
Yeah.
system that we're in and desperate, like you said, to just want it to be over with, not necessarily want to die, but just don't want to feel what we're feeling in that
Yes.
moment. And
Yes. And
I've
not.
been there. I've had attempts as well, and I won't disclose who this person is very close to me, but I was in the hospital when this person swallowed a bunch of pills. It was a Jehovah's Witness. He was an elder
Mhm.
son. Swallowed a bunch of pills because he was disfellowship, and I was in the hospital, and they was telling us they weren't gonna make it. It was a close friend of mine. He ended up
Mhm.
going through that, but when I can count on my finger, like I said within in that article, 4 people that I know that either attempted or tried, and 2 people that were actually successful. All Jehovah's Witnesses who just wanted to just get rid of it all, or feeling like because the system, well, maybe I'll have a better chance second time around because the theology teaches that you
Mhm.
may have a second chance, um, if you die and in this on this side of this, die before Armageddon.
Yeah.
So
I
anyway.
actually I actually almost committed suicide before I ever even kissed that man,
Hmm.
Mm.
because I was having my husband would had denied me intimacy for most of the previous 5 years, and he used it as a means of control, power and control, to get me to go to the meetings, to do what he thinks he wanted. And so yeah, I almost drove into farm machinery at high speed on my way home from work one night because I was having wrong thoughts about this man that was kind to me. And I, rather than sin against God, my family, the congregation, the organization, I just felt like it would be better if I ended my life.
All right.
And I'm glad I didn't, I mean,
Yes.
sheesh.
Yes, we're so glad you're
I'm,
here,
I'm
Sharon.
so glad I didn't.
So
But
grateful to
anyways,
have you here with us.
Yes. Yes, we're
thanks.
so
Yeah, you
glad to have
guys
you here.
too. So, so anyways, I ended up going into hiding with my children.
Mhm.
I was disfellowshipped because, oh, that's where I was at. The elders told me that if my husband forgave me in this judicial meeting, they said after interrogating me for 4 hours. They said, if your husband forgives you, then you need to accept his apology in order to be pleasing to Jehovah. I mean, what about, him being what about him
Right.
apologizing? So, so I looked at him and I said, "Do you forgive me?" And he said, "Yes, honey, I do." And I said, "Too bad, because I'm not staying with you anymore."
Go,
And
Sharon.
I looked at the brothers and I said, "You brothers have a decision to make, I guess." So they sent me out of the room. I was even afraid to be alone with him in the other part of the Kingdom Hall. That's how scared I was. I came back half an hour later into the room, and they told me they were going to announce that I was no longer a Jehovah's Witness. So, anyways, after that, I went into hiding with my 4 children into the domestic violence program. I had a restraining order on my husband. He was allowed to pioneer that following month. And the elders visited friends of mine and said that I was not allowed to pull into their driveway to drop my kids off or pick them up. Nobody reached out to my kids after that. And my oldest daughter had her first suicide attempt after that.
Wow.
She was 13. She had, I think, a total of 3 suicide attempts within a couple of years. Then my second daughter attempted suicide a couple of times.
Wow.
And she developed a brain disorder. They call it MS, but she only started having those symptoms after her overdose. So then my other daughter became a secret cutter. She became very suicidal. My son was going to hang himself when he was 10. It's like I've lost track, 5 or 6 family members on my side and my ex-husband's side to suicide. And 2 to no blood, the no blood policy, and we've been homeless 5 times. So I think that pretty much sums it up. That's why when I first started in activism, YouTube was pretty new. Facebook was really new. And I didn't know how to run a computer to save my life. So the local Department of Job and Family Services taught me how to use a computer, how to create documents. I know the basics of computer technology. That's it. And that's how I was able to, I started something called JW Survivors back in August of 2008 on Facebook. And eventually, I don't know, I hadn't heard of that name before that. Maybe it existed, I don't know. But eventually a lot of people were using JW Survivors, so that's when I switched to JW Survivors Original, just so I could, like, I don't know, I guess kind of separate myself, I don't know, was it an ego thing, was it I don't know. Anyways, all I know is that we all are JW survivors, and my whole goal in activism is to save lives.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's all I want to do, is save lives. So I started, my very first protest was with Sebastian Ramos from Brazil. He's amazing. And that was an international protest. I think it was in 2009 or 10. And then I did my first protest by myself with a banner in Toledo, Ohio.
Go ahead, Sharon.
In 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had my first nervous breakdown in 2012. And I had to take a break from everything. And then, and that's the thing with PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And activism, PTSD and activism, like with PTSD, and you come out of the organization with, a lot of us come out with OCD behavior, so it's like, it's so addictive to want to help, want to save the world,
Right.
and we do help a lot of people.
Right.
But there has to be that balance where you don't and I'm going to use a word that Miss Molly uses a lot, that you don't fucking lose it, that you don't lose it, and then have to just totally go out of the scene. But
It's
I
true.
found myself, I've had to do that a couple of times, and I'm back, but I'm trying to be more balanced with it and not be too involved. But I think Facebook in general tends to make you become addicted to it. And
It's addictive.
I'm trying to do more so of the YouTube and then political activism. And so last thing I want to say, well, two things. Number one, my children are doing really good now. My three oldest daughters have graduated from high school. They now are young adults, have good careers. My son, the youngest, is graduating
Yay!
from high school in May.
Wow.
And I'm just so thrilled about that.
It's amazing.
And so, those are just things to celebrate,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
but anyways, so the venture that I'm on currently with activism, and then I'm done talking, is I've gotten married recently to another ExJW.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
He's right here.
Hey, Sue.
Hey.
We can't see him. We can only see his hand. Oh, there he is. There's that face.
I'm actually busy uploading something everybody's gonna like pretty soon.
Okay,
we were
cool.
working on we were working on a video this morning,
Okay.
and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna,
We're
Okay,
excited.
enough of him. So yeah, Jesus and I are really working hard on the child abuse problem, just like a lot of us are. And so today we went to a big Catholic church in the town that we live in, and stood out front, created a video, and we're starting a new thing. We're initiating, actually, we want ExJWs to stand in front of churches peacefully, hand out flyers, hold up signs. It's one thing to do it in front of the Jehovah's Witnesses, but really the Catholic Church is one of our biggest opponents to this clergy penitent privilege problem.
Can I say it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Hold on.
So can I tell them? Okay. So what we're working on is on this thing called righteous cause. And based on the fact that we're supposed to look for the kingdom and its righteousness, this is what we're trying to do. Yeah. Ask God for righteousness, for justice, for all these things that are happening. And because we know, we're going to put it on the video. We know exactly what has happened with this bill. We're actually going to post it up there. And what we're going to do is we're going to do everything we can to protest, in front of Catholic churches, in front of any religious institutions, including the one that we came from, so that way we can make this awareness, much greater than what it is right now. We're not going to focus just in the organization, because obviously they're part of the clerical institutions. They found refuge, and now they're hiding behind the clerical penance privilege that makes them part of Babylon the Great. So anyways, that's what we're working on.
Yeah. And I'll translate for you guys because he has a heavy accent.
I love his accent.
Yeah, I love it too. Basically, it's righteous
Oh my God.
cause.
Sorry.
Righteous cause is what we're calling it, and we're going to start protesting on a regular basis in front of the Catholic churches. And in California, there's three main dioceses that are huge and large Catholic population. So anyways, if you watch Tovar Truth Talks on YouTube, he is posting that video of us today in front of the Catholic Church. And then I also, on my honeymoon, instead of going on a honeymoon, I wanted to meet Senator Jerry Hill at a coffee outing, and we got a video of that. And that will be on JW Survivors Original on YouTube later today. And you'll find out where Senate Bill 360 actually really is right now, and what we need to do in order to what we need to do in order to create more awareness, because basically Senate Bill 360 died. And a lot of us were not made aware of that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, just watch later today for on our YouTube channels. I'll post it on Sharon Tyson on Facebook too. The link.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
That's it. Molly, what happened over there?
Movement, thinking it's still gonna happen.
My bunnies woke up. That's what happened. They woke up and now they are all over me.
Oh. Okay, so Emma, tell us about the things that you have going on. And I'm just gonna plug for Emma because I just love that what Emma does. Emma collects stories from people from other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses about, well, I'll let you tell them. You collect stories and then you print them and then you put them out. You can be anonymous or you can send them in.
I've been doing it a while. People just basically, they message me and tell me abuse that they went through when they were witnesses, and it can be sexual, physical, domestic, mental, and basically I write up their story and post it for them. And I share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then they get shared by other people as well. And I've actually made just an actual page to concentrate on that now.
Okay, great.
And also on the page, I'm doing albums with sex offenders that are on the registers. And it's taken me a while because I have to get the pictures and the details, but I'm building up the photo albums, and then I have to take a break because it's, even though it drains me emotionally to do it, because reading some of the horrific things that people have gone through, it puts me in their place. And it affects me emotionally as well, but I want to put their stories out there. So I concentrate on the stories for, say, a week or two, and then I have a break, and then I'll go back to say, right, I'm ready to do more stories now. So it's a slow process thing, but I'm ready to do more stories now. So anybody out there that experienced abuse, you can PM me. I can do your story anonymous. I don't have to put any names in there. But I've noticed that the more I put these out as well, the more people come forward.
Right.
Because they know that they're not alone, they've been through it as well. And just for public awareness as well, people need to know, because they see Jehovah's Witnesses as these lovely, don't do anything wrong, nice people that come and knock on your door, and they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And it needs exposing.
Right, and you are also had a chance to be involved in sharing shoes, right? Which I don't know a lot about sharing shoes. I think someone else actually got it together, another ex-Jehovah's Witness in our community, but it's catching on like fire.
Yeah, Sherry.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's what you do. You purchasing shoes and like putting them in front of the Kingdom Hall as a memorial, right?
Mm-hmm. We went to a second-hand store and we got we put them out and we wrote out, because Anthony is actually my next door neighbour. He's not a ex-Jehovah's Witness, but he's basically on our side and he does all the. And then also my best friend from Romania, he's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and they're my two partners in activism crime, basically. So we all wrote our own stories, and I printed them off, and we went and got some shoes. And also a friend of mine was abused. I didn't know at the time, but she's told me since we left. And she was sexually abused by her stepdad and her mum. She went and told the elders, and they basically called her a liar. Didn't do anything about it and just left her in that position. So I've spoke about her experience, but I've never put her name to it. So I put a pair of shoes outside the Kingdom Hall that we grew up in for her, and I sent her a message personally and said, "This is for you." And then she actually commented on my Facebook page then, because I wasn't going to name her, but she did actually like comment on it. But we put the shoes down, and then it's opposite the Kingdom Hall is dead opposite a train station. And literally, just as we finished putting them down, some lady walked over, and then we kind of walked away about a metre or two away and stood there. And then she was like reading the posters, and then we walked over the road and sat on a wall so we could see who was stopping. And then two other people walked past and stopped and read. And we could see this woman on the phone, and I was thinking, is she a witness? Why is she on the phone? How did she clock us put them down so quick? But this has been happening. Like, I feel like I'm being followed because
Wow.
I put posters up on the Kingdom Hall fence. We go into the train station to fly, come out, and they're gone.
That quick.
Yeah. Like the past 3 or 4 times now, within 20 minutes, half an hour, they are gone.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the road, like looking behind me, because like it makes me paranoid. So we sat on the wall, and then a car pulled up, and this lady was stood there, and then she kind of went round the corner. We couldn't see her, so Anthony went and looked, and he said she stood there by the car. So we walked over the road, and they were sat in a car outside the Kingdom Hall with the doors open on the car. So we walked round the corner, waited there for a couple of minutes, and come back, and they were still there. I was thinking, right, they're waiting for us to go, but I had my niece that weekend, so we had to leave after we'd been there, like, not very long, and then we literally walked to the supermarket round the corner, come back to check, literally 10 minutes later, and all the shoes and all the posters had gone. So whoever she rang was in that car, sat in the car, waited for us to leave, and then took everything.
Get out of here.
But
Well, I
That's
mean,
insane.
so I would have waited them out.
so besides sharing shoes, you are involved in activism as well, like not picketing. Protesting. I said picketing. It's not picketing. And protest too, right?
I've been to the 2 London protests. I am thinking about doing one in Birmingham this year, because that is like London. It's a long way for us. It's about 3-4 hour drive.
Oh, okay.
Birmingham's about a 40-minute drive, and it's still quite a major big one. So I'm thinking about trying to get one in Birmingham this year in August.
Okay, so but Sharon and Jesus have their YouTube channel as well. You can check out Emma on her YouTube channel as well, right? It's called don't let me see if I got it right. Judge Me Unforgiven, right?
Yeah.
Is it Judge Me Unforgiven? You can find Emma on YouTube with Judge Me Unforgiven. And Molly, you have a YouTube as well. Tell people where they can find you.
So basically, I just to know what my YouTube channel is about. I spent about a decade out of the organization now. I'm about to turn 24 this year, so that means this is my 9th year out.
All right.
So
whoop, whoop.
And I got into atheism and more, like, I would not say militant, because I'm an asshole, but I'm not aggressive. I mean, I'm trying not to be. And so militant atheism, like a year ago or so ago, when Telltale and Mr. Atheist, if they ring a bell, they are awesome. They like floated across my YouTube dash, and I was like, okay, this guy is talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, so I'm like just a bit intrigued. Like the video title was, "Are Jehovah's Witnesses correct or right?" or something like that, and I was like, oh boy, I have to see this. Like the title was so attention grabbing, I needed to see this. I'm like, YouTube was flooded with atheist content after that. And I realized what Sharon said, that it's not just the witnesses, it's like the Mormons, it's the Pentecostals, all of them. And so I started reading up about atheism and activism, like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens, and well, more names, but my memory sucks. So, and basically, I decided that I would start a YouTube channel to share the stuff that I learn, and especially to call out Jehovah's Witnesses as being a survivor myself of their bullshit, and as having friends who survived abuse suffered by Jehovah's Witnesses and their cover up. And just really, because I know that religious indoctrination is such a traumatic experience,
Yes.
I want to be there for people, because
Aw.
why are you kicking water
Hey,
at me?
could I
The
mention
bunnies.
one more? Could I mention one thing? And
Sure.
that's we have a big upcoming protest. It's the second annual Memorial on Memorial,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
was which she's not here right now today, but Chessa Mannion started that last year. Now, it's not to say that other activists haven't protested at memorials before this, because they have for years. But this was the first time that somebody initiated a memorial on memorial protest internationally, and it gained a lot of attention.
Okay.
With the media. So
Yes.
we're all doing a second annual memorial on memorial, and just get a hold of Chessa Mannion or Sharon Tyson or Ema Mellor or Molly Moldván. I think I pronounced your name right.
Yeah.
Or Spencer Tyler. And I'm sure you could provide a link. But we need more participation this year
Yes.
for
I'm
this
actually
protest.
I'm actually gonna be at the memorial, the nearest memorial I can get my hands on, because sadly traveling to Budapest is a bit costly. So I will try to be at the memorial. I will be. I'm not sure if my town will be organizing one. I hope they will, because I know where they are and I'm very familiar with that place. So that would be home ground for me to protest and know where to situate
Awesome.
myself.
Yeah,
I will be
awesome.
there. So if there's anyone in Hungary who's watching and who wants to reach out, I'm here. And let me tell you, I will not pass any of your information out for anyone. That's if you're just fading, waking up, or just tiptoeing around apostasy, then
Molly's
reach
here.
out.
All right.
And we have one in California right now, in Central California, in the Santa Cruz County area. So I can only speak for my state right now where I'm at, and I think there's one in Columbus, Ohio as well, where I came from.
So for
Someone
me,
messaged me
oh, go
earlier and
ahead,
asked
Emma.
me, so I directed Chester.
No, go ahead, Emma.
Because I haven't done memorial on memorial here in the UK, but someone messaged about earlier saying they wanted to do it, so I said the best person to speak to is like Chester, so I'll pass on the information.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so for me, I started my YouTube channel as Healing for the Soul Outreach. As you guys know, I started when I came from the Jehovah's Witnesses. I went immediately into the Christian world. I was attending a non-denominational church and speaking out in the churches. I even have some audio of me speaking out in some of the churches, telling them our experience, because it's just not my experience, but our experience as Jehovah's Witnesses. We have to remember that we're an ambassador, each one of us, because it's not many of us, but we're ambassadors in each one of our areas to be able to, when they see ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we are the face of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses when they see them. And I went through a change of heart. I guess that was, I can pretty much sum it as, I went through a time that a season in which I am now identifying as agnostic atheist. So my new channel is the ExJW Cafe. My channel, it doesn't focus on activism, y'all. Maybe soon, maybe one day in the future, but right now it focuses on issues and challenges problems that are uniquely facing the ex Jehovah Witness community. I found that there's a lot of YouTube channels that gives a lot of information about, if you're a person that has kind of either moved on or moved through hearing the latest updates about the Jehovah Witness organization, or you just want something more refreshing. I wanted a little corner where ex Jehovah Witnesses kind of hang out, and I didn't think that there was a presence on YouTube for ex Jehovah Witnesses to just talk uniquely about ExJW problems, not just Jehovah Witness stuff, if that makes sense. So it's something
Yeah.
I may not have this channel for long. My husband and I, we've been using it to kind of just work through some of our issues, and you guys have been working through it with us. So we thank you for all of the feedback. We are going to show you guys have seen my face, but my husband is going to show his face pretty soon, which is a huge deal because I remember how I didn't want to show my face, and obviously I got an alias, y'all. But that's a huge deal for him to and for any Jehovah's Witness or ex Jehovah's Witnesses to finally come out of the shadows and like here I am.
Yeah.
It's me,
Yep.
So I'm really excited that from watching his journey from the organization, us breaking up to us now in this season where he is, re-examining some things himself. So again, it's XJW Cafe. I'm going to put YouTube links to all of our channels in the comments below. We're also going to put some links to Sharon's your memorial protest coming up, right? And then we'll put some links to some of our things below. We are in the process of, if you notice, our podcast is called the ExJW Glass Table because we are trying to be transparent, but we are in the process of actually making a team, like a team page or a group page, so that you can find all of us in one spot. You don't have to go here and hit Sharon's here, and you can find most of our stuff in the same spot. PJ Amber is saying, I got the time mixed up. Let me put you on the screen, honey. I got the time mixed up today. I got confused about the time change. Aw, PJ, we missed you. I'm looking for
Me and
anyone.
Molly were going back and forth.
Right. For
Me and
anyone.
Molly were going back and forth because it kept saying different times, like it's
Yeah.
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you
Like Google would
Google.
say 9, then Google would say 10. We're like, which one is it?
I was
Even Google is confused, honey.
I thought we had settled on 5, and then
Yeah, we
I didn't have
did,
my
but
phone.
then Google was messy, so
Acting-
whatever.
She said,
Eastern time.
Yeah. Also,
Google was
just
lying about what Eastern time was.
yeah,
Eastern time. And what do
yeah,
they call it? Is it Eastern Standard Time?
yeah,
Did I get that right?
yeah.
Look, I cheated because I don't know how to convert and do all of that. So when y'all said when Sharon was like, let's do it Spencer's time at 5 p.m. I was like, okay, good. I'm covered.
Yeah.
And I went shopping, y'all. But PJ Amber says she's looking for anyone in South Mississippi that would like to protest the local memorial this year. So if you're in South Mississippi and you're looking for someone to protest with at the local memorial this year, reach out to PJ Amber Stewart. I'll put a link. You can reach out. Well, you can reach out because you see her name there, but I'll put a link to her profile, or you can reach out to her by instant messenger below. Molly, were you going to say something?
Yeah, also another specific ExJW issue that I took notice of is that it's really like herding cats. Like there's no unison. Once we wake up, our true colors start shining through, and we just become so many different shapes and sizes and colors and tastes of the rainbow, and which is awesome, but it ultimately makes a united front very, very hard to achieve. That is why I'm very open about saying, yeah, I'm an atheist. Yes, I'm most definitely not heterosexual, and I don't care. Like if that kind of stuff bothers anyone left over, that I'm not gonna really bother with, because ultimately I moved on with that. And well, my main focus and goal in my activism is really just to be a voice for the queer XJWs, because it's so ridiculously hard figuring all that stuff out.
And
Like
that's what,
all
right,
your
yeah.
life, you're beat over the head saying like it's only the heterosexual life that exists. And then when you get out and then you start establishing yourself as a normal, functional human being, or like as functional as you can get with religious trauma, but you start realizing, oh, maybe that's not the only thing that exists, and then you start figuring yourself out. It's super hard to do. So that's one of the
Because
main
that's
goals
what
of my
they're told you
activism.
are.
Yeah,
They tell you you're
yeah,
heterosexual, so you believe you are, and then it's like like it took me till only a few years ago to realise I think I'm pansexual.
mm,
But looking back, I think I realised that, but I didn't put a label on it. I didn't think about it more. And
mm,
looking back, like my mum used to make me take all my posters down off the wall of men, but most of the posters were women. But she let me keep them up. She only ever made me take down the posters of men. I'm like, well, that was a bit presumptuous. But back at the time, I found those pictures of women attractive, but I didn't realise it was an attraction, if you get me. I was just attracted
Right.
to the
yeah,
pictures. And it's only until later in life I thought, well, you missed something there, Mum, because you just presumed.
Right.
mhm,
Because you told me I was heterosexual. You just
yeah,
presumed that's
So
what it
you'll
was.
see, so you guys, you'll see that we're representing a lot of different areas, and that's one of the things that, like Molly was saying,
Yeah.
that unity is really hard to find in the not really hard to find. I don't want to say that unity is
I mean,
important
unity
in
unity
a
is a bad word, I think, because
but not conformity. I just want to make sure when we're talking about unity, we're
yeah,
not talking about unity in the way that we were in the Kingdom Hall, that we had to conform to a
mhm.
standard. We all have like-minded goals, and we're all trying to help each
Yeah,
other
I
reach each
think a
other goals.
better word might be like cooperation and collaboration, and just
Yeah,
smooth communication, because it can and I think that's a major like riffraff that we have in the XJW community, is that people become very easily jumpy if they feel controlled. Especially, that's my experience,
right.
that when you come across as even just a bit controlling, XJWs start like fizzling out and just going like, whoa,
We
hold there,
all have,
buddy.
well, we all have triggers. I think
Yeah.
we all are aware of the fact that we have triggers. So I just want to, I don't want to, we don't want to keep you guys long, but I do wanted to say that we wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you guys for listening to us today. I'm looking at the
Yes.
comments. I can't even get to them, to most of them in the broadcast. Thanks, Mike, for joining us, and Jim, and I hope I'm saying this right. Osawin, James, Jack Gray, and it looks like Jose Fernandez just joined us, and everybody else. I didn't already shouted y'all all out. So, so going forward, we want to we, if you notice, our we came up with the Jehovah Witness glass table. If you have any other names that you thought might be cute after looking at our broadcast today, or anything that you might think appropriate, give us your ideas. You can list them below and comment in the comments, or reach out to us. Again, I'm gonna put all of our YouTube channels here. If you have any questions about the protest, you can reach out to any one of us. We kind of talk to each other almost every day. We
Yeah.
kind of so if one of us, you reach out to one of us, believe me, all of us would probably know.
Yeah.
So, and PJ Amber is going to join us next week, and hopefully we can get a few new faces in order to kind of present. Well, we having get some fresh faces, so you get to know a few of us, is what I'm trying to say.
Isn't Chester as well?
I can hear you. Oh yes, Chester Man,
Excellent
and
as well.
yes, Chester. Well, hopefully we can. We had some technical difficulties that we kind of ironed out. It took us about 45 minutes to do it. So next week it'll probably be a lot smoother. It'll be a lot smoother. So if you have
Yeah.
make sure to like and subscribe to our channels, and comment below if you have any questions. And thank you for joining us today. Do we have any last words?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon.
There is a really good group for people that are they're gender different from heterosexual. It's the LGBT ex Jehovah's Witness support group on Facebook. They've been around for quite a while, and there are so many on there that have went through the discrimination of finding out, discovering who they are. And so I just wanted to mention that, so that way anybody that's watching is a Jehovah's Witness or whatever, that they can get the support and the help that they need.
Yes, and again, Emma's support group. Go ahead, Emma.
Yeah, I was going to say mine is LGBTQ friendly as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't go by that, that's the one rule that will get booted. So
Same way with me. Same
we don't stand for discrimination.
My group is also LGBTQ friendly as well. It's a really small group. How do I say this? It's like if you know kind of thing. We have a kind of keep a small kind of group, but it is LGBTQ friendly. Like, don't come in there with all of that. You'll get booted immediately. We respect everybody and everybody's walk of life and what all the things that we have. I'm distracted by Molly. Who you snapping at? One of them bunnies?
Sorry,
all right, Mama Molly.
My son is about to drown in the hay manger, so I had to
Well, I have to check on my children as well before they do something like drown. Because I'm like this as we're talking. I'm like, so if y'all mamas, y'all know what that is. So
it's been real.
It's been real, y'all. Thank you for all of y'all for coming on and bearing with me with the technical stuff, because y'all don't know. I don't know nothing about this. Hopefully, when we come back together, it'll be a lot smoother next week. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, reach out to us soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.